Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines. The fans have waited 33 years. Now Vita is in with a chance to win the African Champions League. Nigeria's Super Falcons stand between Cameroon and the African Women's Champion title. And fans vent out their frustrations at former coach over Niger's performances. Thank you for watching Sports News Africa. I'm Angela Agor. The first leg of the final game in the African Champions League will take place at the weekend between Algeria's Entente Setif and the DRC's AS Vita. And for a lot of fans, for the Congolese club, this will be the first time in over 3 decades that Vita is actually in the finals of the competition.
For the past 3 decades, AS Villa Football Club in the DR Congo played second fiddle to arch-rivals TP Mazembe. But this year, their fortunes changed. After fighting tooth and nail, they earned their first African Champions League finals appearance in 33 years. The 1973 champions have been training in the capital Kinshasa ahead of their clash with Algeria's Entente Setif on Sunday in their first leg fixture of the finale of Africa's Premier Club tournament. Coach Florent Imbenge, who also coaches the country's national team, has been receiving credit for the on-form Vita squad. He said sufficient preparation was key for the team and there was no room to underestimate their opponents.
On se retrouve en finale avec du brio.
We successfully reached the finals, but sometimes it was not always easy. We are in the finals with the same philosophy, the same target, to win this cup. We are calm and collected. Since we don't intend on changing things, we do not think that we'll face an unbeatable opponent. They are a brave team, but we will play our game.
C'est un adversaire valeureux, mais on va jouer notre jeu.
Alain Kenda, a die-hard AS Vita fan, said he is thrilled with the team's re-emergence after such a long period.
Nous tenons à avoir cette coupe cette année. Quoi qu'il en soit.
We want to win the cup this year. By all means, we have a good coach, we have good players, and our supporters are beyond average. They do not create trouble. We are only interested in the cup. Vita's fight back to football limelight has also surprisingly received praise from unusual arch-rival supporters. We are all supporters of AS Vita Club, since it's the only club still on track to represent and strongly defend our country's colors. We are all backing this club because its team achieved a fantastic performance which no one can doubt. Vita, who have had a resurgence of success this season, pulled a surprising away win against 5-time African champions Zamalek in Egypt to qualify for the semis, billing them one of the favorites for this year's title.
We can now talk about the outlook of the game with African sports journalist Mo Ali. Mo, the DRC's AS Vita are at home for the first leg against Algeria's Entente Setif. Does it make a difference as to which side gets to play at home first?
I think, recent history suggests that the team that plays at home second have actually gone on to win the tournament more times. In fact, twice as much as the team that plays at home first. And obviously, the theory is that when you play away from home in your opening game, you know exactly what to do in front of your home crowd. And from that psychological point of view, it certainly does help if you know you're going to play your second game at home and you know exactly what to do. But having said that, if a team playing at home in their first game manages a 2 or 3-0 win, it really does take away the game from the team that has to play the second leg at home. So, I think teams shouldn't worry too much about whether they're home or away in the first leg. They should just go out and do the business. But of course, if you do play at home in your first leg, your main priority is not to concede a goal at home. And of course, conversely, the team that plays away from home would be seeking an away goal at all costs because, when the aggregate scores are level, the away goals can't double.
Should CAF not be thinking of having a one-match final at a venue that's determined before the start of the tournament, like they do with the UEFA Champions League, rather than play home and away matches?
I think obviously that would be the ideal situation. That's what happens in Europe, for example, where a venue is predetermined 2 years before the time, cities bid to host the UEFA Champions League final. And CAF have tried it with the Super Cup, which features the CAF Confederation Cup winners and the Champions League winners on 3 occasions, but they didn't really attract the kind of crowd because travel really is difficult in Africa. Sometimes it's even easier to get to Europe from Africa rather than to get from one country to another on the continent. And of course, fans are not all that well off as well. But hopefully in future, with rail connections being strengthened now across the continent and travel connections, maybe in a decade or two's time, we could have a one-off final at a neutral venue.
Both teams had tough semi-finals. Sétif beat the DRC's TP Mazembe, whilst AS Vita beat Tunisia's CX Sfaxien. Can one read anything into those results going into the final?
I think if anything, it does tell you that it is the two best teams that's playing in the final, because TP Mazembe to beat them over 2 legs as Entente Sétif have done. They're a big spending club. They reached the final of the World Club Championships 2 years ago, and to have beaten TP Mazembe over 2 legs certainly is a big achievement for Entente Sétif, and it really shows how well Algerian football is doing. Their national team, for example, is now ranked at 15 in the latest FIFA rankings, and they are doing exceptionally well. And similarly as well, AS Vita playing in their first final since 1981. They won the championship in 73, and to go out and beat CS Sfaxien in North Africa is not the easiest of tasks. And in fact, they've beaten Zamalek and Al-Ahly, also North African sides, so they seem to like playing the North African teams. And I think those victories for both teams, tough victories it was as well, will certainly stand them in very good stead for what's going to be a very closely fought final.
Mo, for the moment, thank you. We'll speak to you again later. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. It'll be the final game of the African Women Championships in Namibia this weekend. The fans of one of the 2 finalists, Cameroon, say victory is within touching distance now. But there is the small matter of getting past one of the tournament's favourites, the Super Falcons of Nigeria.
The atmosphere in Cameroon's city of Yaoundé is tense with anticipation as the countdown begins for tomorrow's women's football encounter against Nigeria. Cameroon's women's national team, the Lionesses, will face Nigeria's Super Falcons in the finals of the Africa Women Championships in Windhoek, Namibia. The match is billed to be a thriller as the 2 African football giants clash. But Nigeria, who have tasted glory 8 times before in the previous championships, will definitely not be a walkover. However, the Lionesses are equally strong contenders, having finished 3rd in the 2002 and 2012 tournaments. Eric Koiza, a sports coach in Yaoundé, is confident the current squad will overcome Nigeria.
This time the team is different because the players, as I earlier said, have been in constant competition for the past number of years now, since 2010. And 2011, when they won the All African Games in Maputo, the team has been almost the same, and the girls have been gaining experience, and most of them have gone professionals.
He further pointed out that the country's team had gained adequate experience over the years and would therefore easily win the match.
For the finals of the African Female Cup of Nations, Cameroon has the possibility of a breakthrough. The Cameroon national team have been involved in the London Olympic Games 2 years ago, and the team is gradually moving forward. So, although they have been losing against Nigeria, there's a possibility this time that things have evolved and Cameroon can make it and grab the trophy.
Newspaper headlines in the country were not to be left out in the chest thumping and confidence in the Lionesses. Cameroon beat Ivory Coast 2-1 on Wednesday to reach the finals. They also now qualify for the 2015 Women's World Cup in Canada alongside rivals Nigeria. Nesta Garansu and Fawn Thompson. Lionesses fans also say this year's trophy will come to Cameroon.
We can really strike them because the match is on the pitch. But to have already won 6 or even 10 times doesn't mean that you will be the winner again. As for us, it's the first time. They will be motivated if their bonuses are paid.
It's a proud that Cameroon has won their match, their final, their second final. And they are going to face Nigeria, who has been playing final for over 6 times. So I know it will not be easy for the Cameroonian to make it. But this time, our girls are very, very well performance. So we're expecting a very great job from them. And we should not also forget that they have already qualified for their World Cup. And winning their match, their final, is going to give them a great priority to face their World Cup champion.
The finale will be played tomorrow at the Sam Nujoma Stadium in Windhoek, Namibia, but not before South Africa and Ivory Coast have settled who takes the 3rd place in the tournament. Cameroon will host the 2016 championships.
Well, Nigeria's women cruised their way through the Group A knockout stages for the most part. The only real test to their campaign came in the semi-final when they had to labour for a 2-1 win over South Africa. But the mood amongst Nigerian fans is one of belief that the Super Falcons can go all the way and bring the glory home.
Quote, what our men cannot do, the women are doing, end quote. This is the general feeling among Nigerian soccer fans after the Super Falcons beat Bayana of South Africa to sail through to the finals of the ongoing African Women Championships in Namibia. Nigeria's Super Falcons on Wednesday humbled South Africa's Bayana 2-1 to qualify for the finals against Cameroon, who had also bundled out Ivory Coast in the semis. Nigeria's Saturday's match could well be their chance to lift the continental title for a record 7 times. But the irony is that as the Super Falcons' fortunes grow, the men's team, the Super Eagles, are on a downslide, tumbling down from 37th to 42nd position in the latest FIFA ranking. Many football fans are finding consolation in the Falcons after being disappointed by the Super Eagles.
So grateful, and the way they play the ball, we are so excited. What our men cannot do, the women are doing it. So we are all solidly behind them to cheer them. Whatever we can do, we pray for them because they are making us proud.
Well, we are really impressed because it's something good. This is something we have been wishing to have, and we have had it. Especially this time with all the challenges we have had, we are much impressed and we wish them well. And all of us, we are going to support them by prayer, by whatever means, we are solidly behind them, and we wish them well.
Emmanuel Ikpeme, Nigeria Football Association Technical Director, on his part, heaped more praises on the ladies' team.
Based on the pedigree of that team and based on the pre-competition preparation they were having, I had no doubt whatsoever that those girls are going to make a statement in Namibia. And that's precisely what they did yesterday. Of course, I expected the match to be a tough one because, I mean, everybody wants to secure a ticket for the FIFA Women's World Cup in Canada. But I had no doubt whatsoever that at the end of the day that the Super Falcons were going to emerge victorious.
The African Women's Championships is being used as the qualifiers for the 2015 FIFA Women's World Cup. The top 3 finishers will represent the continent in the tournament.
Well, Mo Ali joins us once again. It's Nigeria up against Cameroon in the final on Saturday. How do you see this game going?
I think even the Cameroonian coach, Eno Ngachu, has admitted that Nigeria are by far the stronger team, and they obviously start as favourites. They scored 14 goals and conceded only 3 at the tournament thus far. And, in all 6 of the previous finals that they've played in, they've won. But Cameroon obviously are not without hope because they were actually the side that eliminated Nigeria from the qualifiers for the 2012 Olympics, and they, along with South Africa, went to the Olympics. But the Nigerians are just such a strong side. They've got many of the players who played in the Under-20 World Cup final against Germany. They got the top scorer in that tournament, Asisa Oshola, and Desiree Operanozi in their side. They are the 2 top goal scorers at the tournament. So I think all things being equal, Nigeria should win it, and it will be a big surprise if Cameroon give them or turn things around against them.
The third place playoff game is also an important one because it will decide who join Nigeria and Cameroon at next year's World Cup in Canada. Will it be South Africa or the Ivory Coast?
I think South Africa must be favourites simply because they are a more experienced team. They went to the Olympics in 2012. They've finished runners-up in this competition on 3 previous occasions. They reached the final of the last tournament, and they actually beat the Ivorians just before the tournament started in a pre-tournament friendly. Although they were slightly lucky in that the Ivorians should have got a penalty towards the end. South Africa won 2-1. A lot's going to depend on how quickly the Ivorians recover from that 4-2 defeat against Nigeria in their opening group game last weekend. And it's also the first time that they reached the semi-finals of this tournament. So inexperience may count against them, but it's such a big game because the winner will go to the World Cup next year in Canada. So it's a massive game. It's not your ordinary 3rd and 4th place game. But I think experience maybe just favours South Africa slightly.
And from what you have seen, what has the standard of football been like at the tournament?
I think the standard of women's football is improving in Africa all the time. Given the exposure that women's football is getting, for example, we saw Nigeria's under-20s reaching the World Cup final last year, and Nigeria have been the powerhouse. But we've seen teams like Algeria, for example, who beat Ghana by a big surprise. That one, they beat Ghana in their opening group game. Ghana have got better. You have the likes of the Ivory Coast, Namibia, Zambia, and they're all getting better. And we've seen some very good goals being scored at this tournament. My one big worry is the quality of goalkeeping, which could improve. But with more exposure and now 3 African teams going to the World Cup, and that will be televised around the world, it would give young women in Africa much more hope and opportunities to play the game. And if the local federations and the football associations could put more resources into developing women's football, I think women's football will continue to grow in Africa.
Mo, thank you for speaking to Sports News Africa. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. After a string of disappointing results, Niger is struggling to qualify for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. And early this week, the national team head coach, Gernot Rohr, resigned from his post. But fans feel the Germans should have gone sooner.
After all the strenuous preparations and spending, all odds seem to be against Niger's national team, the Menas. Their dismal performance in the ongoing 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers has left fans disappointed. To add on to their woes, head coach Gernot Rohr resigned following the team's 3-0 loss against Zambia in Niamey. It is still too early to tell what Rohr's resignation means for the Menas, but it is quite clear fans wanted him out even much earlier. Nyandu Hamani, president of Niger football team supporters, blamed Rohr for the missed opportunities.
He is in charge of the selection, and given what Niger is paying him, I think that Gernot should not travel across the whole country to find players during the championship. Today, what kind of problem are we facing? Bad ratings.
But Mamadou, a Niamey resident, was more direct.
He should have resigned a long time ago, and if he says that it's due to lack of means or something else, no, I would be surprised. Really, I'm happy with his resignation. Now he will see what happens with the next 2 matches, but if he claims that he resigned because he lacked means to train the team, why does he say that we have chances to qualify?
In his resignation speech earlier this week, Rowe took the blame for the Mena's poor performance in the qualifiers, but cited lack of financial support and a logistical structure in the country's football federation.
Je suis le premier responsable, bien sûr, des résultats.
I am primarily responsible for this result. I was not happy with the means that were given to me to prepare the team. So as I don't have a full hand, and as I feel responsible, I have requested the management to make me free to leave. We agreed upon that.
Coach Rowe has been replaced by Sheikh Omar Diabate, who will lead the team for their two final qualifier matches next month against Cape Verde and Mozambique. The Menas are at the bottom of Group F with just 2 points and can only hope their remaining two qualifying matches will give them a lifeline to the 2015 Continental Tournament.
Meanwhile, the debate continues about whether or not the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations tournament should still go ahead. Organisers of the Confederation of African Football insist the tournament will go ahead as scheduled. Togolese and English side Tottenham forward Emmanuel Adebayor had in recent days given his backing to Morocco's call for the game to be postponed. And now, Nigerian and French side Lille's goalkeeper Vincent Enyema has added his voice to the calls for the tournament to be deferred because of fears over the spread of Ebola. Enyema spoke to reports on Thursday evening following Lille's scoreless draw against English side Everton in the Europa League. And in the English Premier League, all 20 clubs will be back in action this weekend. The biggest one to watch will be the clash between Manchester United and Chelsea at Old Trafford. Here's a quick look at the fixtures. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Join us again on Monday when we bring you all the latest from Africa and around the world. Bye for now.